Welcome to the 217 Recovery Podcast.
If you don't make mistakes, you won't learn.
With your host, Corey Winfield.
You know, there was a reason why that didn't work out. And you can look back at it and go, yep, I'm glad that didn't work out how I wanted it, because that would have been horrible.
And co-host, Marney Winfield.
Fairly expensive membership to Gold's Gym when I was in college, but I use that all the time.
It is the 27th of October, 2024. My name's Corey Winfield.
My name's Marney Winfield.
Whoa. And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast, like the original, the OG. Marney Winfield back as the co-host. How's that feel?
Unfamiliar.
I know. I'm like nervous. I'm like, I better not mess up. Marney's on the podcast today.
It is. It's like, I mean, it's like riding a bike, but, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What can't I say now?
Oh, right. See, those are the problems you're having.
Yeah, the censor's back.
Mine is like, I don't even know what I've shared. It's been so long. There's so much stuff.
Let's start at the beginning.
At the beginning.
You're like, what beginning?
Right.
Now, we can talk about recovery stories for just a second, too, because I felt bad for you because you were going last. And for me, that's a good thing. Chris Goss was awesome. Everybody was pretty much awesome, but it was started so late. It was like 20, 30 minutes late, and then we took a break that was way too long. And then by the time you got up there, it was already 8 o'clock. Normally, we're packed up and we're leaving at 8 o'clock. We're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
And so this was just horrible because some of the people that came had to leave by 8, and we knew that. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that you were going to say kind of just got chopped up into, hey, hurry up, let me get up there. But you knew you had to be longer than 5 minutes, but like you can't really share. And I think it really threw you off.
Oh, yeah. It did.
We'll go over some of that when we release the videos. But yeah, I kind of felt bad for you, though, because feeling that pressure of like, hurry up and get up there and get it over with, it loses the whole, this is the story I was going to tell.
Right.
So I kind of felt bad for you. But
well,
at the same time, you handled it well. Out of anybody there, I think you handled it the best of anybody that could have. So
thank you. I mean, yeah, so you know, you're dealing with this anticipation of getting up in front of a group of people and the message that you want to share. And I really struggle with, it's not so much the public speaking piece, it's like having an idea of what it is that I want to, the message I want to get across, and then having that match not only my time frame, but also have it not be too like scripted. You know, I didn't want to, because I'm big into, like, when I write papers or, you know, work on projects, it's like there's a creation period, there's a brainstorming, and then there's like your creation, and then there's your editing, and then it's your final product. Well, when you get in front of a group of people, unless you're literally reading off of a piece of paper, it's going to change. It's going to adjust, and that's fine, and that's great. But when I knew, like you said, I'm looking at basically the fact that we're already supposed to be done. Yeah. And so there's no way the idea of what I did, any idea that I did have in mind of how this was going to go, it's not going to go that way at all.
Yeah. Felt bad.
And that was okay. I mean, it left me a little bit stumped in terms of picking out the important pieces and then kind of rewinding and figuring out like, what do I leave out and what do I want to leave these people with, when I know also, too, as they are looking at their watches, like, we're supposed to be out of here. Because there was a time constraint that was out of everyone's control because of the attendance that was there. I mean, they had something they had to be back for.
And we rented the event center, the Grand Traverse Event Center, from 5 to 8.
Right.
Like we're supposed to be out of there at 8. You know, like that's, and so I was like, well,
yeah.
Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's just a bunch of, different miscues. But on the good note about it, we recorded with our board, and the audio sounds fantastic, which is good for videos. And we're going to release them as podcasts as well. So that's coming soon. But yeah, that's the good note of it.
So then you can, in your, geniusness, can try to pick out the bits and pieces that I did have and make it sound wonderful.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, because in the past I just would release the whole thing, boom, there you go. And then I started thinking, like, do people sit there and watch 30-minute videos, or do they watch a minute video?
Right.
A minute video.
That's a good point.
You know, so would it be better just to cut up, hey, this is great, part of it, like let's put that out there? I think I might kind of go that route, you know, and you might have 5 different clips, but they're only a minute long.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great idea.
You know?
Highlights. Pick out the key points. That's Cliff Notes version.
There you go.
Recovery stories, Cliff Notes.
Yeah, and I could still release the whole thing at some point too, but just as far as like, you know, like just hit home on those points that really matter. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. But yeah, and other than that, you have a child now, 5 months old. How's that going?
5 months, 5 days.
Yeah.
And he is a handful, but he's amazing. And I love being a mom. I'm embracing it as like wholly and completely. And when there are those moments that moms and dads know that there's those moments where you're like going to pull your hair out and
Obviously.
you're like, I don't have an answer for you, child. Like I would give you anything and everything in my capacity, upside down, sideways, backwards, whatever. But I have no idea what it is that you need right now. And sometimes that's just babies being babies.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, what do you want, man? You can't talk. And we recorded a cute video yesterday because he loves to bounce. He's bouncy,
He
bounce,
loves to bounce.
Loves to bounce. So we have this like little seat you put him in, and it's on some springs, and he just bounces. Well, that's a horrible explanation of what this is.
It sounds dangerous, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like a walker, but he can't walk with it. It just bounces.
Yeah.
And not like a walker that old people use, but like a walker like you set a baby in, you know, when they first learn to walk, but it doesn't move. It just bounces up and down. Mm-hmm. And it has like 3 cables that hold to the top of it or something.
If this helps, it's made by Fisher Price. For those of you that are thinking it's some crazy contraption.
I just built it yesterday. No, but he was sitting and he was bouncing, and you're like, hey, record it. And you had your phone, so I recorded it. And 10 seconds in,
Yeah.
he just like pukes.
But
and
it was
burps
kind
and
of
spit up.
adorable.
It was kind of, and he smiled like, yeah, that feel better.
Yeah,
you know?
he's like, hey, man, if that's the cost, then I'll take it.
Yeah. So it was cute, and we're learning on the fly. But one thing I'm learning is, I think was it last year, year before, we're like, hey, we're coming home for Christmas. This is our time. And, oh, you're not even going to be here for this. You're not going to be here for that. Huh? Well, this is when we're going to be there. Oh, but you're going to miss this. Now when I sent the message, hey, we're going to be home at Christmas from this day to this day. Oh, awesome. Okay. And my sister put in her phone, not, hey, Corey's coming home, but Parker will be in town. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you're new to the podcast, that's our son, Parker. So it changes the game. I think my dad was a little disappointed, I think, maybe that we weren't going to stay with him. Mm-hmm. But look, we have a little child who rules what goes on.
Absolutely.
And it's nothing against their dogs. It's nothing against other people's animals or anything like that. But it's just a lot easier to not introduce him to that, because he could be dead asleep and a deer goes walking through the yard, and let's say their little camera goes off or their ring thing dings, and the dogs start barking. Guess who's not having a nap now? Mm-hmm. And we know what monster time comes. It's a term here on the Winfield house at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. is monster time.
Once it clicks on, you're on monster watch. It could happen right at 7. If he's up too early, a little before. But at 7 o'clock, man, he's ready for bed, especially since it gets dark now. Earlier, he's like, all right, it's dark. We need to be in bed. Mm-hmm. He kind of lets us know. So it's like, okay, get him in bed, and then something happens, or something animal or something. I don't know. It's just easier to be in a hotel where, all right, the guy in the next room, sorry, buddy. It's monster time. Baby's crying. That's what happens. I wouldn't feel as bad, but, and then to have your kid up screaming, or who knows, what's going to happen. And you just want to a place where we have a little bit of control over it, and not have to worry about, oh no, you're waking up dad, or you're waking up this, or waking up that, or the dog's waking him up, or yeah. So
it's hard enough as it is to find that balance, and then when you just don't have to, like, I don't want to say take into consideration, but where the things are, you feel comfortable like moving around at whatever time that you need to get the things you need, and so it just makes sense. Just makes sense.
Yeah. And this morning he is right now taking a nap. I guess this morning it's noon. Mm-hmm. on Sunday. So we have the cats down here fighting because why not? And he's upstairs sleeping, and we'll be able to hear him if he does wake up. But we figured we'd jump on and do a quick podcast. But so back to you, though. What else has been going on? You're doing recovery-friendly workforce. I mean, what do you want to talk about? The workplace.
Yeah. So the golden question everyone wants to know is, when's Marney returning back to work, right? When are you going back to work? Well, I've been working this whole time, I've been working a lot on the Recovery Friendly Workplace Initiative, and it's spearheaded by Michigan Public Health Institute and also MDHHS. And so what it is it's basically an educational piece for businesses, organizations, pretty much any kind of agency that is interested in being familiar with substance use disorder, just in general, like overall. So it's a very substance use disorder 101 kind of stuff about like what it is, what to look for. And the bottom line and the most important is how to support employees or management that could potentially be either struggling with substance use disorder or also being kind of empathetic and helpful and supportive of people that are in recovery from substance use disorder. So being there and understanding what their needs are, and there's a different element of potentially like how their schedule works, what have you. So it's basically a supportive piece that all agencies or institutions, whatever that was interested in learning, it's a free training that we're offering.
Nice.
Us being 217 Recovery, being the recovery community organization in this area, that we would be a resource for them as well. So I've been working on that, and I've also been working on getting my clinical hours under my belt, because as August approaches, that marks the 2-year mark of my graduation from my master's with social work. So hopefully the bigger long-term goal is for me to be licensed on my own.
As we can hear our child in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's all important stuff, and you have to tell the state when they ask you to work for them, no. Because with the recovery workforce or workplace, I always call it workforce because the whole radio thing, we're always, you're at workforce station. Mm-hmm. So anyway, with the workplace thing, the way it's going, and our buddies up in Petoskey at Community Recovery Alliance, Caitlin and them, they have kind of the same thing. And between us and them, we're kind of killing it. Like with when we started and how we started doing it, you're doing great. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to see that and be like, hey, why don't you come work for us? And you just say, no.
No.
I don't work for the state of Michigan.
I am not. There is no, I have pretty good idea of my long-term goals, and I'm going to just keep shooting for that.
I guess you shouldn't tell them, though. You should just, okay, hold on, and just send them a number, like $1 million. Like, there you go. I'll work for you for that.
Right. No.
I'm sure you'll find the money. But yeah, so I mean, maybe we'll have to cut this podcast short.
Yeah.
But hey, at least we got one in, right?
We did. And then we need
You're still alive. You're not buried in the basement.
I'm not. I'm not very much alive and doing fantastic. And I'm extremely grateful for, we're extremely blessed to have this baby in our lives. For those of you that aren't familiar, obviously Corey and I met later in life, and it's been an unknown if that was even going to be something that could happen for us. And so here we are now with this 5-month-old who's screaming his lungs out upstairs, yes. Which whoever thought that would be something like music to your ears, right? No. And then, trying to find balance right now between, being a mom and then, putting the work piece back into play and having your support, which you've been wonderful doing the, limited stay-at-home dad hours that you've been able to give up from, your demand that's at 217. And so, it's been a lot, but it's been great. So,
yeah, I think we have the staff that allows me to do that too.
Oh, absolutely.
I give them a hard time all the time.
Obviously.
But whatever, Mitch.
You have no idea, people, how hard a time he gives them. I feel for you guys big time.
That's a pain. It was easier just to lick them all.
Thanks, Justin. That makes no sense.
Obviously.
Thanks, Mitchell. But yeah, no, I give him a hard time. But no, for real, if we didn't have the staff that would allow me to, work from home, and I use that term very loosely because I'm not like you. I cannot multitask. I'll just say that. Done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to give examples, but it's harder for me to check my phone or to talk to somebody or to do this or do that, which reminds me I have to call somebody today. But yeah, it's good to have you back on and to hear your voice and to be co-host. And I tell people, like the 217 Recovery Podcast was for me, it's something that I started to help me stay sober. And then I just started kind of getting people involved. And with starting in the recovery home, I had guys that were in room 217 with me. And then that kind of fell through. And then Ryan Beckman came on, and then Chris Goss. And then it shifted. And then I made you the co-host, made you do it. It's not you were like, hey, I want to be a co-host. It was something that you did. And I appreciate it. And you're the person that kind of reels me in and makes sense of the podcast. So it's kind of important, and that's why I didn't want, we still do some from the office studio, and it's just not the same. It's me and 2 or 3 guys or whatever, whoever, we're just goofing around, we're having fun, but we're not getting into those conversations that you and I would have.
Sure.
And
exactly.
That's why I tell people you can listen, but it's not the same without Marney.
Well, and the thing is, too, is, as our life balances out a little bit more and we have a better idea of, what timing looks like. And with baby, perfect example is, there is no planning on when they're going to need what they need. Yeah. But, yeah, to be intentional about doing these, because I really do love doing these podcasts. And I think it's an important platform to be able to talk about living life in recovery, right? What it looks like to make decisions, to, face challenges, to celebrate your successes without, having the use of drug or alcohol. And I think that's important. I think that's what we want these podcasts to be, is to have that messaging and to have experiences that people can relate to and hear about stuff, that we need to hear about when, you just want to know what's it like to live sober. And this is it, the daily grind, So, but yeah, I love it.
Well, better go get him. And I just want to say, good luck with Jacket Off this week. That's who you're playing in fantasy football.
The fantasy football league. Yeah,
I'm doing all right.
You're
playing with fire. My team's Jacket Off.
Yeah.
You're going to go jacket off at a party.
You were so close.
What?
So close to having a whole podcast.
Josh Allen was number one. Matthew Berry said that's the number 1 quarterback for the week, and that's who you have.
Corified. And now it's corified.
So I think you're going to beat Jacket Off today, or this week, I should say.
Yes.
So good luck to you, and yes. I do hope you win.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope I do too. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Listen to over 900 episodes on the 217 Recovery app that's free in your app store or online at 217recovery.com.